Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. So, Bernie Sanders just did a town hall on climate change in California. Where did he go? He went to Chico, California, in the Northern California that had awful wildfires last November. Here's what he said.
Thank you very much. A few minutes ago, we had the opportunity of visiting Paradise. And I'm not quite sure what the adjective is to use to describe my feelings. Jane was with me as well. And to say the least, it was sobering, it was shocking, it was sad. And I hope that what today is about, I made a promise to the folks a while back in Paradise that I would come here, and I'm glad that we can honor that promise. But the purpose today, and I want to thank our friends in the media for being here as well. And the purpose of being here today is to kind of learn a little bit more about what went on here, but most importantly, to make sure that, and I'll be speaking about this in a moment after the panelists speak, is to make sure that the people of our country understand that President Trump is wrong when he believes that climate change is a hoax. It is no secret, I trust anybody here or anybody in the country, that I disagree with Donald Trump on almost everything. But on this issue, his ignorance is threatening not just the people of California or Vermont or America, but it is threatening future generations on this planet. So we have a global crisis. This is not just an American crisis. And what makes this crisis unique is if tomorrow the United States did all of the right things, and we just introduced a plan yesterday, which I think does a lot of the right things, we could do it all. But unless the rest of the world comes in together with us, I fear very much about what kind of planet we're going to be leaving our children and our grandchildren. So we have an enormous challenge in front of us. We have to take on the fossil fuel industry. We have to deal with countries around the world, and I'll speak to this in a minute. But at the end of the day, my dream is, and I don't know if it's, it can happen or not, but we got to give it a shot. And that is, right now on this planet, the countries of the world are spending about $1.5 trillion every single year on weapons of destruction designed to kill each other. Now, wouldn't it be extraordinary if we used that money to come together and, instead of killing each other, maybe we use that money against our common enemy, which is climate change?
So this is, it's an hour and a half or something like that, and I'll put the whole link to the whole, if you watch the whole town hall, there's a bunch of people speak and everything, which is pretty important. But I want to go into what he said the day before he released on his website his Green New Deal. And it is the boldest one that I have seen yet. Maybe there's one out there that isn't. That is more. But this is the kind of bold leadership. I'm going to go into some highlights of it. And again, I'll put the link to this. It's on Bernie Sanders' website. So if you just go to his website, it's right there. So here's what it says. Reaching 100% renewable energy for electricity and transportation by no later than 2030 and complete decarbonization by 2050 at the latest. So everyone else, we got to push it down the line, and it's not. No, 2030, man. We have less than 11 years to be completely off of fossil fuels and complete decarbonization. Now, there's a lot to that. There's plants and soil that they've come up with that pull harmful emissions out of the soil, so there's solutions out there. But he goes into this whole thing. I want to. So the question, how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to this? How are we going to that? Right? He spells it out. Ending unemployment by creating 20 million jobs needed to solve the climate crisis. These jobs will be good-paying union jobs with strong benefits and safety standards. Right? put everyone, the Green New Deal, as I've said, a real Green New Deal, the one he's talking about, has fixes so many problems. And he addresses it in his Green New Deal. Wealth inequities, communities that are frontline communities that have cancer clusters, and because what happens is the big companies, the oil companies and the refineries and all that stuff, the chemical companies, they find a poor community and they dump their crap there because the poor people don't have the money to fight back. Oftentimes those poor communities are people of communities of color, but there's also plenty of white people that are getting screwed over on this too. That's why it's not it's the frontline communities. There's indigenous communities, there's Latino, there's Asian, like you name it. White community, name it. They're getting screwed over by the fossil fuel industry, and the Green New Deal helps that. We will also create millions of jobs in sustainable agriculture, a reimagined and expanded civilian conservation corps, and preserving our public lands. Directly invest a historic $16.3 trillion in public investment towards these efforts, in line with the mobilization resources made during the New Deal in World War II, which is smart. How did we pay for the New Deal? How did FDR pay for World War II? This is what he's talking about. And also, what are you going to do? I hear all these arguments, right? He addresses every single one. So all the people working in the oil industry, they're all out on a job? We did shows in Texas when Ron and I were in Houston, and so many people came and say, look, Graham, my wife and I, we work in the oil industry. I work for the oil. And they were like, apologize. Don't apologize. You need a job. I get it. Well, a just transition for workers, this plan will prioritize fossil fuel workers. And he goes into the detail of it. Same wages and benefits for 5 years and help with housing to transition you. So you're going to make the same money. You're making 60 grand a year in the fossil fuel industry, you'll make 60 grand a year making solar panels. Basically is how he spells it out, right? Also, because then I've talked about this before, a Green New Deal has to climate change is affecting every area of our lives. So it's going to need bold plans and bold leadership. Supporting small family farms by investing in ecological, regenerative, sustainable agriculture. Yeah, Mother Nature had it pretty figured out before we started using petroleum-based chemicals and fertilizers to increase crop yield. Mother Nature had a pretty good system in place before we started screwing it up, right? But as he said in his speech, with the whole world, we have to get the whole world on board. Well, I believe America can be the leader. If America were to do this, if America were to cut down its military budget, which he says in his plan, and stop being the aggressor to the world and be the leader of the Green New Deal, then other countries would come on board. Commit to reducing emissions throughout the world, including providing $200 billion to the Green Climate Fund. That'll help. Instead of spending billions of dollars every year on war and blowing things up, how about helping? How about going to emerging economies like India with 1 billion people? India's already committed to saying no more fossil fuel gas cars by I think 2035. They understand they have a huge smog problem there. China is investing all throughout the continent of Africa on clean energy and rail lines and everything. China's investing in Africa. Making massive investment in research and development. I talked about this too. Part of what would help get us to staving off the end of the human race would be putting money in investment in research and development, because there's some science, there's somebody who's come up with something, but they need more research money. Every time I do a live stream, which I do every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, so many of you bring up stuff. Oh, Graham, they're making plastics from cactus. There's like all this stuff. There's, fish or algae or something that eat plastics. So what if we just put some more money behind that? What if we took the $370 billion a year in oil subsidies and just focus that on green energy? Right? But I want to map out specifically how he says he's going to pay for it. Now, this is I know this detail, you might be able to see all this, but again, the link is in the show notes, but I didn't want to copy and like, I wanted to go through the whole thing. This plan will pay for itself in 15 years, he says. Experts have scored the planet's economic effects. We will pay for the massive investment we need to reverse climate crisis by making the fossil fuel industry pay for their pollution. How are we going to pay for it? Fossil fuel will pay for it. Through litigation, fees, and taxes, and eliminating federal fossil fuel subsidies. What did I just say? $370 billion a year. Take that away, that goes toward clean energy. It goes toward people having jobs. Creating revenue from the wholesale energy produced by regional power marketing authorities. See, that's the other thing about green energy. You put solar panels on your roof, and I've seen people, I had solar panels in my old house. You start getting, you build up credits. There's on sunny day when the sun's cooking all the time, you can store energy. You're creating, in so many instances, you're creating more energy than you need. So revenues will be collected from 2023 to 2035, and after 2035, electricity will be virtually free aside from operations and maintenance costs. Scaling back military spending and on maintaining global oil dependence. That's a big way how we're going to pay for it. Collecting new income tax revenue from the 20 million new jobs created by the plan. See, that's the other thing. When people are like, oh, we spend $15 an hour, give everybody on these union jobs. Well, it's going to benefit the economy. Right now, people are they're barely getting by. They're barely paying any taxes because they're not making any money. They're also not being able to buy anything, so there's no sale tax collected. If you have 20 million people who were making whatever, at the poverty line or below or right around there, and now they suddenly go to making really good money with union benefits, they're going to have more money for the economy. They're going to pay more in taxes. Everything's going to do. If 20 million people have jobs, then any business you run, some depressed town, and they put green jobs in that energy, guess what comes with it? Stores, restaurants, everything. All this cool stuff comes with it. Reduced need for federal and state safety net spending due to the creation of millions of good-paying unionized jobs. Again, we don't need a private prison industry when people are working and they have good education, making the wealthy and large corporations pay their fair share. The cost of an action is unacceptable. Economists estimate that if we do not take action, we will lose $34.5 trillion in economic activity by the end of the century. And the benefits are enormous. So we're going to lose money by not taking part in this. By taking bold and decisive action, we will save $2.9 trillion over 10 years, $21 trillion over 30 years, and $70 trillion over 80 years. How are we going to pay for it? Oh, that. It'll actually, it's like the Medicare for All thing. Your taxes are going to go up, but your overall healthcare costs are going to come way down. So your overall expenses for healthcare with Medicare for All come down. Once you build a wind turbine and a solar panel, you have to spend that money and that cost. There's a little bit of maintenance and upkeep, but for the most part, they just keep generating energy. You don't have to keep extracting it, and for every gallon of gas, it's unbelievable what we have to do. It's unbelievable. Think about what we have to do to extract it, okay? To refine it, to transport it. And then it goes in your car or truck, and how dirty it is. Not to mention the wars we have to spend to go get the oil. Look at what we're trying to do in Iran and Venezuela. It's all bullshit to get oil. How much money are we going to spend? How many Americans are going to die? How many vets are going to commit suicide with PT? If we get in 2 more wars, is the number going to go from 22 vets a day to what, 25 or 30? Give me a break. That's bold. That's bold. That's the kind of leadership we need. And it's spelled out on his website. Share this video, man. Share this video, because if you don't, guess what we're going to have? Liz Warren's green military. We don't have to choose between a green military and an effective one. My plan will improve our service members' readiness and safety and achieve cost savings in American fight climate change and win. With a green military? What are you talking about? Oh man, I'm sure everybody in Yemen will just be ecstatic that the Saudis are bombing them with American bombs that are powered by biodiesel. You know, because the Saudis, we sell them Trump sold them $100 billion in weapons. Obama sold them $113 billion in weapons. Or maybe Joe Biden's middle ground climate policy. Oh, Kamala Harris skipping the first ever presidential climate forum to schmooze with big donors, debating our generation. See, right? That's Kamala. She bailed, and then recently she said, "Oh no, I'm going to go." This was on the August, I think, the 19th, and then like a day later, she was like, "Oh no, I'm changing." She'll figure out how to go get that big donor money. So these are the options, guys. These are the options. Bold, I've said it needs bold leadership. This is centrism. Centrism will not fix it. It will not fix it, right? This is Herbert Hoover. This is like not going to fix the problem. You know, here we go. Oh, you know, this is like, oh, we can't put a man on the moon in 10 years by the end of the 60s. That's too difficult, you know? Oh, I got to go get big donor money. The centrist Democrats, Rosa Parks, oh, too crazy. Hey, you suffragette women in the 20s trying to get women the right to vote. Say, whoa, women, we'll get women the right to vote down the road, maybe in the 40s or 50s or 60s. Like, let's not get too crazy. That centrist Democrats throughout history, if we were to put them throughout history, every time something bold happened and you put centrist Democrats there, that's what they would have said. We need bold leadership. This is what we need. Please support the show. Go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood or patreon.com/Graham Elwood. And also like, share, and subscribe. Put the videos all the way out there. Let everybody see this. Give this information. The links are in the show notes below. And Progressive Comedy Tour in September, 4th through the 8th. Ron Placone and I are going to Omaha, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Madison, Wisconsin, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Iowa City. Go to GrahamElwood.com for all your tickets. Thank you so much.